Hey everyone, this is Jamie Wolf. We just had a break in the action and I have some nervous energy to burn off, and the dogs had been cooped up for about 24 hours. So Radar said we had a little break in the action and I decided to take them out and go see some of the flooding that I've been posting pictures of, because I live really close to downtown. I think we're close to high tide right now and we're taking a lot of water on anyway. You know, they say stay away, but curiosity kills the cat. At any rate, we got about 2 blocks away and I saw this sheet of white coming across the water and I was like, oh, I know what that means. And we ran and we got soaked anyway. But it gives me a chance to talk to you all about some stuff that's been on my mind. Business is something I love and I care about, and certainly, you know, the whole country has been sending out good wishes and courage and energy to the people in the Northwest and the fires, and to the people dealing with Harvey and the aftermath in Texas, and now Irma in Florida, and on up here today giving us our crazy windy rainy day. And I know I'm not alone in thinking about all those people, but maybe not everyone is thinking the way I am, which is about the business side of things. And so as a former brick and mortar, I have been considering what enormous anxiety the folks in Texas and in Florida and in the Northwest who own brick and mortars have been dealing with. And, you know, here's a couple of scenarios that I've thought about that I'm sure have played out over and over again in recent weeks. One would be that you've got a brick and mortar that's not in suffering major disaster. You know, maybe it didn't take water, it didn't take wind falling, you know, trees falling on it or something. So the physical structure is still fine, but let's say that September is a month that you bank on throughout the year, that it's a high revenue month for you traditionally, and it helps to offset some of the other months throughout the year that are not high revenue months for you. And suddenly there's this big old storm coming, and you have a flood of cancellations that takes your revenue down to nothing. Or people come in and they see about the storm and they hightail it out on the next plane as quickly as they can before flights are canceled. So suddenly, in a month that's supposed to be a big month for you, you're down to either virtually nothing or absolutely nothing. Well, do you think your expenses stop just because Irma or Harvey are showing up or a big fire is showing up? Well, hell no. Of course they don't. So you still have that lease payment. You still have the loan payment if you borrowed money on equipment. You still have payroll if you've got employees, because I don't think there's too many employees suffering through the same disaster that you're suffering through that are going to go, hey boss, it's okay, just don't pay me for a month or more while we need extra money because of this disaster, right? So, you know, say nothing bad happened to you, and yet your customers depend on your physical geographical location and they're gone. What if something really bad did happen? You know, what if your physical, let's see, okay, I'm getting messages here. Let's say that your physical structure did get destroyed, and it could be weeks or months until both your building and the infrastructure around it, whether that's roads or sewer or electricity or phone or Wi-Fi or whatever, what if it's weeks till it's back on again? And you know, what if you have key personnel who had to evacuate and then their homes were destroyed, so they're not coming back to you anytime soon? What on earth do you do in those settings? And I'm sure this is happening to a lot of people, you know, and if you borrowed the money to get your business up off the ground, you still have those loan repayments and interest. Now, you know, of course, if you're a good business person, you've got good insurance, and hopefully you've got business interruption insurance, and you've got flood insurance, and you've got insurance on the equipment, and you've got insurance on the place, and all that will help, but all that will do, honestly, is keep your head above water. And I don't think that you went into business to have your head above water. You went into business to make lots and lots and lots of money to, you know, stave off these things, to protect you in times of absolute hardship. And because you're a person motivated to do a lot and see how the game works and see if you can be more fulfilled and give back more and contribute more and give your family a great life. So you don't go into business just to hold your head above water. So if insurance helps you just break even, that's great, but that's not accomplishing your goal, right? So if you have any sense of what I'm talking about at all, go ahead and, you know, drop a 1 down below if you have experienced this, or if you know what I'm talking about and you've had brick and mortars in the past and you've gotten out of them. So, the other thing is, I think it was somebody out of Texas, a politician, say that everybody ought to have 6 to 9 months or 12 months worth of savings in the bank, living expenses in the bank. Really? How many people do you know who have that much money, liquid, available to them? There may be some super wealthy people that did prepare for the rainy day, but their assets are tied up and it's not a super easy thing to do, or there's a cost to liquidating them and giving you access to the cash. And then, frankly, everybody else is just living paycheck to paycheck, and whether you've got a really good 6-figure paycheck or you have the average paycheck, if you are an accountant or a lawyer or an attorney, or a lawyer and attorney, doctor in private practice, something like that, and you're making a good living. But what if you've got 3 or 4 kids in college to the tune of $60,000 a year each? What if you have a big boat? What if you have a whole bunch of cars? What if you have a big house? What if you like really nice vacations? You've earned it, right? So if you're making a lot of money, chances are your expenditures have increased proportionately. So your margins are almost the same as if you're not making that much money. And for the rest of people, earning $50,000 to $75,000 a year, but a couple kids and a couple cars and a mortgage payment, and maybe some in-laws who are getting older and who need some help, your margins are also not great. So then you throw a big natural disaster on top of it, and if you're a business owner dependent on local or regional customers, you don't know when you're going to get back up and running. In 2010, I walked away from a job, a job just over broke. And there's a couple reasons I did it. One is I wanted to move to a different place. And frankly, it's a town that's small enough that there aren't a great deal of high-paying jobs to choose from. There are some, and they're filled. So for all of the rest of the semi-retired people who have a lifetime of tremendous skill sets, there's not enough jobs in this town to support all of us. So some of us, like me, decided to go into business for ourselves. Another reason that I walked away from a job is I couldn't stand trying to fit my whole entire life into 2 weeks. I mean, really, can anyone relate to that? If you can relate to that, drop some sort of unhappy face down below, because, frankly, I was using vacation time to go visit family at Christmas and Thanksgiving, and there wasn't much left over after that, and there's other things I wanted to do during the course of the year. I love my family, but there's other places I wanted to go and other opportunities I wanted to take advantage of. And, frankly, too, if you've got a chronic illness, either you or someone, a child has a lot of sick days and you've used up all your sick days and now you're using vacation days for sick days, it's also really hard to compress your whole entire life into the allotted number of sick days and vacation days in a year. And if you've got an employer, I know you know what I'm talking about. So that was one reason I wanted to walk away, or, the second reason. One, I was moving to a town that I wanted to live in by choice, but the job market here wasn't terrific. And then I was tired of fitting my whole life into vacation time. And third, I just wanted to see what I was made of, frankly. I don't know if any of you like challenges, but I wanted to spread my wings. I'm curious about an awful lot of different things, and I wanted to try some new things, and I wanted to see how that would go. So I guess the point is that there's a lot of people that I talk to that I know they don't like their boss, or I know that they love their job and they're getting paid well, but they're tired of being road warriors and missing those significant things with their children. More specifically, I think to me and my current status is the number of other people who are over the age of 50, who are semi-retired or fully retired, and then something happens, something other than Harvey and Irma happens. Either an adult child loses a job and needs to come back home, or an adult child gets divorced, and not only does that adult child come home, but they bring grandkids in tow. Or maybe the grandkids get a fantastic opportunity, but it costs more money than the parents have in disposable income, and you really want to help make it happen. Or maybe you're just ready for all the adventures that you didn't take while you were busy raising a family and making sure that they had everything that they needed. And, there's that component too of wanting to leave a legacy for your kids and your grandkids when you're no longer here. And I guess the last part for me is that idea of wanting to stay viable and relevant in a job market that is changing faster and faster and faster. I don't like the idea that if I tried to walk into a 9 to 5, I might only be worth $30,000, $50,000, $60,000. That's not what I'm worth, and that's not what my skill set is worth. But that might be what's available to me because of my age and because of the, somewhat valid perception that a younger person is going to be able to work a lot more hours, maybe work a little faster, adapt to new technology more quickly. And so for those of us who are going to acknowledge some limitations because we're getting older, we still want to stay relevant and viable and indulging in all our curiosities and being able to give back and be fulfilled in a way that's making a difference. And the last little thing is, oh my goodness, the amount of men and women that I've talked to in the older age groups who are now facing really, really expensive healthcare problems and challenges. And it takes away their energy a little bit from going 9 to 5. They've got doctor's appointments they need to go to, and it costs a lot in copay. And so suddenly the nest egg that they thought they had so carefully built is dwindling far more rapidly than they had anticipated, and they're probably still going to be here for decades. So you don't want to have to sacrifice completely your quality of life under those conditions. So I am super grateful that as almost 8 years ago now, I opened my mind. I looked around for different business models. Again, I adore business. It is something that I'm very passionate about. I would much rather read a business book than a fiction book. And it's something that I think about all the time. But I didn't want to get caught in a model that's been around for a really, really long time, again, because things are changing so rapidly. So I am incredibly grateful that with this week leading up to Irma, where at the beginning of the week we thought this might be a Category 5 making a direct hit, in which case, my home and my town would have basically been obliterated given the kind of flooding that we're seeing. And I think we only ended up with a tropical storm here. And my home is the home of my kids. I don't know if you can relate to that, but I'm the keeper of all the keepsakes and all the history of this family. So, all the baby pictures and all the stuff that my adult kids haven't found the, forever home yet. So it's still sitting here. I had the luxury of being able to sort through all that and figure out how I was going to take it with me so that the things that are sentimental, have no insurable value, but they have a lot of heart value, would survive and go beyond Irma. And I had the time to do that. I didn't have to go into a 9 to 5. I didn't have to, sit in commuting traffic. And so I remember every single day how incredibly fortunate I am, but those are choices that I made. And I invite you, if you're one of the people who haven't had the money to evacuate safely, haven't had the money to deal with the business expenses that are going to be coming up, or you do, but you didn't go into business again just to barely survive. If you're open to investing 15 minutes to 60 minutes of your time and seeing what might be, in fact, the one opportunity in your lifetime to make millions, and not only make millions, but impact in a positive way millions. Like, what if you were a person in the middle of Irma or Harvey and you're looking around at all your community suffering devastating losses, and you all got together and you all vowed never to be in that position again? Now, we can't control the hurricanes, I'm not promising that, but what if financially you took some steps today so that you never felt so incredibly vulnerable again? Would that be worth a little bit of your time? So those are just the